Hello everyone and welcome to my video. My name is Raid, and in this video I will do a combination of reactions uh, about Japanese horror movies. And this video is a part of my digital artifact project for the Digital Asia class, and the reason why I wanted to choose to talk about Japanese horror movies is that first of all, I've always been a big fan of horror movies in general. I spent my entire childhood watching a lot of horror movies from different countries like China, Korea, and a lot from Hollywood movies. Over the past few years, with the prevalence of Hollywood movies, I spend more and more time just focusing on watching Hollywood movies. But the thing is, most of the scary movies from Hollywood, they are they're just thriller movies. Me on the other hand, I love story based on real events. First of all, I am from an Asian background, and I spent many years in my childhood listening to a lot of scary folk tales told by my friends and family. It is like a part of my childhood, and it was very intriguing to me to know that most of Japanese horror are based on the folklores that are passed on from generations to generation. So here we go. Yeah, first of all, this is like a very popular thing in the Japanese horror movies. Like usually, the environment, the atmosphere in the movie is kind of like dark. I think it's a very common thing, um, in terms of horror movies in general. So there's technically no difference between Hollywood horror movies and Japanese horror ones. Okay, here we go. This is the most famous scene in The Ring. Like the sound effect is really scary. It's really spooky. Here we go. Okay. Because it's a very old movie, so the effect is not that real, but actually it's scary enough for me because it's more about the theme, the theme of the movie, not just about the effect or the sound, or or the images. It's about the story itself. It's just scary to know because it's based on a real ghost, um, in a folklore that was told by many Japanese old generations. So that what makes it scary. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just those small detail like that actually haunts people a lot. Okay, let's move on to the second one. I think this is the Americanized version of the original Japanese horror movie, but I can't seem to find the Japanese, the original one, so I'm just gonna watch this one instead. But it features the Japanese ghost in it, so I think it's alright. Oh my gosh. Oh, it frightens me a bit. Yeah. Okay, this is what makes a Japanese horror movie really spooky and really scary. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't take it. This is way too scary. I gotta tell you, this one is 10 times scarier than the scariest Hollywood horror movies that I've ever watched in my life. Like this figure is super scary. Gosh, oh my gosh. This this one is way too scary for me to watch. Oh no, and that kid. Oh no, that face. Ah. You see, you can't. Actually, that kind of scary figures is a very like common figure in East Asian countries. I can easily recognize that from the Chinese horror movies that I watched before in my childhood. But you can't seem to find any like similar figures or the same kind of figures from Hollywood movies, so that's what makes it different. Um, but the ghost itself is Japanese, so that's why it's different. It's not the Westerners. Yeah, but again, it's not just about. When I watch this movie, I know it's not just about like the scary figures, the scary ghosts in the movie, but it's about like the whole story. Like, oh my god, that is. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. That kind of thing just like again, same feeling. It haunts people in a way that no Hollywood movies can do. Like when I watch the Hollywood movies, um, it's a lot about the side effects that make the movie scary. Like the figures, the ghost itself is not that scary, but like here it's like, yeah, it's you see like that guy. It's not even a ghost. It's just like a human being, but it's like, or I don't know. It's just maybe it's a ghost, but like 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 his behaviors, like the ghost like movement just makes it so spooky and like frightens, like gives me goosebumps. So it's very different from the Hollywood movies. You know, all the jump scares like quite different from Hollywood movies as well. Like in the Hollywood movies, they go with very scary side effects. It haunts people like a lot. It's not even like a jump scare. It's just like, yeah, it just haunts people a lot. The last one that I want to show you guys is a Japanese horror movie called the Kuchiseki Onna. This one actually is a legend in the Japanese folktale. Okay, here she comes. So these two kids just like wander like around the streets in an alley, and then she approaches, and yeah, she is wearing a medical mask, and yeah, I think she's asking the kids maybe if she's pretty or not. I don't know. I'm just looking at the kids. Oh, and actually that face looks so scary. To be honest, like we cannot get that again. I want to emphasize on how scary the like the ghost and the scary figures in the Japanese horror movies are. It's very different from the Hollywood movies or any other movies from the rest of the world. So one interesting fact about Japanese horror movies is that while many of Japanese horrors actually showing the scary, mysterious creatures in Japan, but the meaning of these creatures are much more incisive than that. Japan always put out some of the most engaging genre art in horror. Um, so throughout the history, the Japanese people have been telling folklores to their kids and to and the younger generation about the monsters that act as a symbol of evil in life. So they want to teach like it's kind of like a lesson to the young generation, so not to do like the bad things, so not to wander around the streets at night, or because like if they do the bad things, then bad things will happen to them, and these uh, evils, these devils in these horror movies, they stand for those evils that happened in life. As a Vietnamese myself, scary local folktales seem like a very familiar thing to me, and those scary stories told in Japanese horror films always trigger me a lot, and it gives me goosebumps whenever I hear about them, because if you like, there's like a connection between the Japanese culture and the Vietnamese culture, especially um, since like both countries, like the majority of us are Buddhist, so there's a lot of like similarity in terms of like the folk tales and the scary figures look like. Like they look quite similar between the two countries. In terms of Asian horror movies in general, although we are from like the same cultural background, but actually the Japanese horror movies is very like it has a very unique. That what haunts you the most is not that like the scary female ghost or the kid, but it's about the storyline. Not to mention that again is based on paranormal activities. It's based on the real folklores. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's based on like the real stories told by the old generation in Japan. So that makes it a lot scarier. Comparing to Hollywood movies, however, there are many more differences. First of all, like Hollywood movies, they put a lot of effect to make the scary figure look scarier. However, when it comes to Japanese horror movies, they don't put like too much effort to produce like really spooky side effects or to make really like ugly and scary ghost figures. They don't even look scary at all, but it just haunts me in a way that like no other movies can do, especially Hollywood movies cannot do the same thing to me. I think the cultural similarity um, is the reason why they feel is scarier for me because I feel more related to that. So basically, I think that's the some things that I've learned about Japanese horror movies, and I think it's very unique and is at the same time it's very scary, but it's very amusing to watch. So if you have some free time, you can have a look at it. Again, I've been watching a lot of like Hollywood movies, so I know how it differs from these Japanese horror movies. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll get back to you soon.